So this video is for modeling the sanitary and vent systems for our plumbing. We're going to start and work mostly in the section, the plumbing chase section that we created. You do want to know that, so this wall and this wall are the exterior walls of our bathroom here and here. So you want to try to keep everything between here. We will have some stub outs, and we will have first start off drawing the sanitary line leaving the building that would connect to the sewer. Okay, so I'm going to go into my Systems tab, Pipe, activate my Pipe tool. Any horizontal runs should have a slope on them for the piping. Slope up and slope down, those really could change on how you're drawing the pipe and which direction you're drawing the pipe. I'm going to start off, set it to slope down, and then we're always going to use 1/4 inch by 12 inches. You want to make sure you're paying attention to your slopes, and you also want to make sure you're paying attention to your system type. You want to make sure you're set to sanitary for this first section, and then we'll draw the vents here in a little bit, so you'll want to make sure you change it to vent. Everything will be color coded, so it should match what you see on the handout and in the video, and if it doesn't, then the first place you want to check is your system type here. Alright, so the first pipe we're going to draw is going to be a 6-inch diameter pipe leaving the building here underground. So I'm just going to start to the right of this wall a little bit, and I'm going to click. You see as I drag over, I'm dragging straight. Can you tell by the blue dotted line that's popping up? But you see that my pipe's automatically sloping down at the correct slope. So I'm going to pull the pipe and just place it exiting the building here. See in the handout, it has a -3 feet from the level 1. So we'll do -3 feet. You see it moves it down but keeps your slope and everything. Alright, now we're going to draw a 6-inch pipe coming down the center here that both our toilets and sinks will drain into. Alright, so I'm going to use PI for pipe. Then I'm going to draw from the second level, or near the second level here. I'm going to pull this straight down. Alright, now you can use the trim tool. So modify trim extend, or TR. And that will connect our pipes here at an elbow. Alright, so now before we start drawing all of the other connections here, we want to load in 2 different families that I provided you in the all MEP family folder. Alright, so we want to use the double sanitary T here and the reduced sanitary T. So let's just load these two in. So either do insert load family or just find them in your Windows browser and click and drag them in to the project. Alright, so now we are going to click on our pipe. I'm going to edit type, change my routing preferences. I want to change the junction from regular standard T to our reducer. This basically means that it'll automatically adjust to the size of the pipes going in and coming out of our T's. For the cross here, we're going to use the double sanitary T cross. Now that we have our routing preferences set, we will start drawing in more of the pipe, sanitary piping. I'm going to start underneath the toilets here. I'm going to draw the sanitary for the toilets. So start the pipe command PI, pipe, and then we're going to set this diameter to 4 inches. And then I'm going to start directly under the farthest toilet. Click and drag over. You see that the slope is working, and drag it to the main pipe here. This is the family we just loaded in. You want to make sure that these are set to flow the correct direction. So just like the ductwork, if you if you want to move it up or down, you can everything kind of shifts with it that's connected. So I'm gonna click on the 4-incher, create similar, and do the same thing for these lower toilets as well. So this one you have to kind of be careful that you have enough room for the reducer to actually be modeled. If you do this too low, then you may get an error, and because it may interfere with this. So now let's create the sanitary for the sinks. So PI for pipe. The sink drains are 2.5 inches. So once again, come over directly underneath the sink here. You see the blue line indicates that I'm lined up. I click. I'm gonna drag this over, sloping down still to that main pipe. And then this one, we're not going to have the T here. We're just going to go on the top of this pipe. So I'm going to click and start drawing over. And you see as soon as it's lined up directly over it, you get the blue dotted line. So you can just make this corner, and you get your reducer here. All right, so that's actually a little high. Let's put this down below floor, just so we just don't have to core out a 6-inch hole. You can just only do a 2.5-inch hole. That is the main sanitary pipes. So now let's run each individual pipe going up to the sinks to actually drain into. So this one can be kind of tricky in that we don't want to connect directly to these fixtures yet, because remember we have fixtures on both sides. So if we just connected them to one, you would just have a 90-degree turn, and you would have trouble hooking up the other side later. Let's start by running a pipe up to behind this toilet. So I'm going to PI. The toilets are 4 inches. All right, so you can click in here, and if you see that toilet lit up anywhere on here, and you see that blue line and the triangle for the midpoint, that's going to want to connect to my toilet anytime I click and drop it. So you see now I have this this connection here. What you want to do is, let's undo that. So PI for pipe, 4 inches. So you want to click and you want to run this up here, and you can either drop it above the toilet and then move it down, or you can hit the tab key until that toilet is not highlighted anymore. Now I drop it, and now it's just a pipe running up. So let's do the same thing for this one. So PI here, and hit the tab until that toilet is not lit up anymore. So one time and then click. All right, so let's go clean up our 3D view so that we can see our plumbing. All right, so you see right now you have your fixtures and your pipe. So let's turn off a couple things. Visual graphics, air terminal, basically the same stuff that you turned off in the section that we did earlier. So all of the duct work, turn these guys off. Flex duct and mechanical equipment. Say apply, and you see here's just our plumbing system, and it is single line. Remember, until you change your detail level to fine. All right, so it's a good idea to be coming in here and checking your 3D every now and then to make sure that you didn't accidentally connect one of these toilets to your plumbing system yet, or your sinks. Back to our plumbing chase. So now we want to keep modeling the pipes, the vertical pipes. I will do PI and start it on this urinal. If you remember with the ductwork, if you started the ductwork command and then clicked on a piece of ductwork, it automatically jumped to that size. The pipe does the same thing. I have a 4-inch diameter here, If I click on the 2.5 inch here, see it jumps to 2.5. It helps to just start the command and then set your diameter, because the pipes we need now are actually only 2 inches. I want to set my diameter after I start the pipe to 2 inches. I run this up, once again making sure the urinal isn't highlighted. Click. Still I'm on pipe command. Start it. See it jump to 2.5. Go back to 2. This up here. See no auto route solution found, so that means it was trying to connect to the sink. I'll undo, cancel. Alright, and if you're having trouble actually getting it to not connect, like I said, don't be afraid to go up above the sink. This last one is these were 2. So we'll actually run these up this high, and then if you did want to go down, you can align and drop these down. Alright, and then we want to make this last run 1.5 inch as well. So that's the second floor. Let's do the same on the first floor. PI. That one is at 4. Lastly, we want to create a 4-inch riser again for the essentially future tenants. So I will do PI. This will be a 4-incher, and I'm going to run it in the chase, but to the top of the ceiling here on the second floor. Let's run this all the way down to the pipe exiting the building. Now we're going to start creating the vent system piping. A couple things you want to know here, because we're using 2 different types of systems, or connecting a sanitary system to a vent system, we're going to have to use what's called couplers. Those are in the system tab in the pipe fittings. So if you scroll up to the top, you have couplers generic. So this is a small piece that will let you connect 2 different pipes. And it should theoretically keep the systems apart. All right, so these things can be kind of quirky. So if I'm going to click on it, so they're in pipe fittings, coupler, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to cap all of my pipes with these couplers for now. Notice where my mouse is and where the coupler is trying to place. So if I place it, you see that now it placed it down further on the pipe. You can either just delete the extra pipe and move this back up, or I found that if you hit the, just kind of shake your mouse, it recenters it for some reason. So the main thing you want to be watching for is that that square indicating a connection. Now let's start creating some of the vent piping. What I've noticed though is that the vent piping doesn't like to use a reducer and keep the system separated. So the easiest thing to do is to just match the diameter of the pipe you're going into and the diameter of the coupler, and then change to the correct 2 inches or correct size afterwards. So basically we're going to just do a create similar. See, it creates a 4-inch. Let's change this to vent, and we're going to pull this up. And I'm just going to do all my 4 inches here. Then you can go back after the fact and change them to 2 inches. It changed my coupler to a transition, but it kept my system separate. What may happen is if you try to draw a 2-inch pipe onto this coupler, it'll change that to a transition, but you see it changed more of my system to vent than I wanted. So really the easiest thing that I found is to start the vent the same size as the pipe you're going into and just change it later. So these will be, let's see, PI for pipe, 2 inches, vent, and bring this up. Up. This changed my this system because it's going from a 2 to a 1.5. So let's just undo that. PI, set this to 1.5, and bring it down. Gives you a warning that you're connecting 2 different systems. You're okay with that. Click on that vent and change it back. Change it to 2. All right, so let's keep modeling the systems. Looks like we forgot to do a sanitary stub out over here. I'm actually going to bring this up a little bit so I get the T when I make this transition. 4-inch, bring it over. This is a case where I'm sloping the wrong way, because we're going to have wastewater flowing from this way, from my left to my right. So this one we actually want to go slope up. And we just come out a few feet. Say 2.5 feet should be fine. We have our stub out here. For all these stub outs, you do want to make sure these are capped. So we're going to cap this open end. All right, and then let's change this to vent. Undo. So if you want to change just one piece after you've drawn it, it helps if you just disconnect it. And then we'll change this to vent here. See, it just changes that one pipe, and then we can reconnect it and it won't change the whole system. All right, so I'm going to draw another 4-incher here. All right, and then let's start drawing the main vent going outside of the building. This is going to go from above the roof to below the deck of the second floor. Here. All right, we may need to move this out a little bit because there's not room to make that connection. And for all of our vent piping, we're going to not use the reducer T. We're just going to use generic T's on the vent piping. Change any of the T's that get created to the generic T's. So we're going to continue on downward here. So I'm going to right click, draw pipe. This next segment is 2 inches, vent. So we're going to come down, we're going to make a corner. You see that's sloping. You want to watch your slope going across here. And down. All right, then we're just going to finish drawing my vent piping for the sinks. And then change these to generic T's. There we go. All right, PI. Plus over, that needs to slope up. Here. I connected this piece and it changed this whole arm of my sanitary system to vent. So sometimes this will happen and you may have to actually go in here and do a split line. So SL for split line. I'm going to, let's just chop it up here. And I'm going to remove the excess and the coupler. So where I just have the vent coupler and my pipe, my sanitary, I'm going to pull this up. It left this as sanitary, so you may actually have to kind of play around with this and just keep undoing and keep watching the system and trying different types of connections. All right, so I'm going to pull this one all the way up. Once again, this changed this whole piece here. All right, so let's try something different. Let's connect this first here, and then let's try connecting this. All right, so that one did it. Sure they're straight. All right, so it looks like we missed this before when it changed over, so let's try the split line. And let's delete that. Let's see if we can change this. This may blow everything up. Sanitary. So yeah, you see as soon as we change this whole thing, all of our vents turn to sanitary. So sometimes it's actually just easier than trying to troubleshoot it. So I'm just going to delete this 1.5 inch pipe, and then I'm going to use the split line and create a coupler there. All right, and I'm just going to redraw this. So 1.5 on sanitary. This one changed. So let's PI. Bring that there. Let's try a split line down here. So that one did it. All right, so check everything. Everything looks good so far. Save it. See, that blew out this whole part of the system. And so these I'm actually going to PI vent. Let's change it back to 4. That is the majority of the sanitary and vent system. We do need to add a couple stub outs for future tenants, like this one, but let's do one for the vent pipe. So I'm just going to create another 4-inch 4-inch vent coming from this pipe over. That's sloping the wrong way. I want the gas to be able to flow up naturally. 3.5 feet should work. Actually, let's lower these a little bit. Don't want that to be right in the grid, right in the structural. Okay, so we have that one. We need to add a couple more stub outs for the drainage system here. So I'm going to create one going, let's slip this one up. And then one more here. All right, and like we did before, let's cap these. So cap open end, and let's cap the vent pipe as well. Cap open end, and then we need to do one more vent pipe stub out over here. So this one is actually, let's move this down just a little bit. We're gonna have to go around this pipe here, because if we came straight out, you would hit this pipe. So to do this, we can, so basically need to create a pipe coming directly at us. So let's actually draw a section right about here. Let's do. All right, so here's the plumbing section that we've been drawing on. You see all these pipes are centered on this thing. centered on this section. So I'm going to click on my pipe. See, this is my vent pipe, so this is the correct one. So I'm going to do a PI. And then I'm going to click from the center and come over. All right, once again, watching the slope, kind of thinking about the flow of the gas. So we want to slope this one down so that, you know, any remainder gas at the bottom will go up here. So I'm going to come out. Change that to vent. Hopefully it doesn't change the whole system. If it does, remember, disconnect it here and then change it and then reconnect it. All right, so now we have our pipe coming out of the side. So now we need to create one going above the ceiling over here. Easiest way to do that, I believe, is in the floor plan. You do want to make sure, so let's put this on fine. You notice you can't see your vent pipe here, and that's because it's probably above your view range. So let's edit our view range, see where we're at. So the top of the view range right now is 10 feet above level 1. I usually like to just use level above, so it'll go directly to level 2 and change this to 0. So that means that we're seeing all the way up to level 2. So now I'm going to click, draw pipe, and then just draw this on the outside of the bathroom wall here. So let's take a look at 3D. Okay, so there's your stub out. Don't forget your cap there. And once you're done with that, you are done with the initial sanitary and vent systems.